Hi, I'm Mairéd Phelan and I'm head of the National Building Control Office and Market Surveillance Office. I deliver a 5-pillar programme to promote compliance with the building and construction products regulations under the headings of education and training, compliance support, inspections, and BCMS. So I'm going to spend just a moment to set the scene. 2019 saw Dublin City Council become the lead local authority for the National Building Control Office, which provides for oversight, support and direction for the development, standardisation and implementation of building control as an effective shared service in the 31 building control authorities. 2020 saw Dublin City Council become the lead local authority for the National Market Surveillance Office, and this provides oversight, support and direction for the development, standardisation and implementation of market surveillance for construction products as an effective shared service in the 31 building control authorities, which are also market surveillance authorities. Building control authorities also have responsibility under the Building Control Acts 1990 to 2014 and the European Energy Performance in Building Regulations SI 243 of 2012 and the Construction Products Regulations EU 305 of 2011 prescribes basic requirements for construction works, which requires that construction works as a whole and in their separate parts must be fit for their intended use, considering in particular the health and safety of persons involved throughout the life cycle of the works. And subject to normal maintenance, construction works must satisfy these basic requirements for construction works for an economically reasonable working life, which is 50 to 60 years for your dwelling. So in this video, I'm going to concentrate on market surveillance of construction products and the National Market Surveillance Programme of 2021, as required under Article 18.5 of Regulation of the European Commission 765 of 2008. Pursuant to this article, Ireland's National Market Surveillance Programme is published on the website of the European Commission. And if you click on that link, you will come to that, the programme, and it's a very good read. So I'll just talk a little bit about SI 225 of 2013. That's the European Union Construction Products Regulations 2013. And this gives full effect to the provisions of Regulation EU number 305 of 2011 and gives further effect to the provisions of Chapter 3 of Regulation EU 765 of 2008. There are also some delegated regulations that feed into this, and they're based for different parts of the regulations. So in essence, SI 225 of 2013 requires economic operators to provide declarations of performance, then affix CE marking, and provide instructions and safety information in a language which can be easily understood by users when making a construction product available on the market in the state. And it also requires economic operators to cooperate with requests for information from competent national authorities when seeking confirmation of the conformity of the construction products with their declarations of performance and compliance with other applicable requirements in the construction products regulations. Economic operators and construction products are defined in Regulation 305 of 2011 and also in Regulation 1020 of 2019. So the regulations require that when a construction product is covered by a harmonized standard or conforms to a European technical assessment which has been issued for it, the manufacturer shall draw up a declaration of performance when such a product is placed on the market. And the thing to remember here is that if a declaration of performance has not been drawn up, then a CE marking should not be affixed. So SI 225 of 2013 then provides for the making of market surveillance authorities, market surveillance and of construction products. And it has regard to Regulation 765 of 2008. It provides for the establishment of building control authorities as market surveillance authorities for construction products. It provides for authorised officers have also been appointed in the 31 building control authorities to enforce the statutory requirements set out in the European Union Construction Products Regulations. And it provides for offences, penalties and prosecutions the destruction and disposal of construction products where a person has been convicted on indictment of certain offences under the regulations. And there are 31 local authorities who are also national market surveillance authorities. The Geological Survey of Ireland and the National Roads Authority and the National Building Control Office are also competent national authorities for the purposes of market surveillance. Along with the regulations, market surveillance authorities are guided by the guidelines for market surveillance, and these were approved by the City and County Managers Association. They also look at the CPR Administrative Cooperative Group's Good Practice Market Surveillance document and risk assessment document produced by the Norwegian Building Authority. The purpose of these documents is to provide a consistent approach to market surveillance by market surveillance authorities and member states. So this is the suite of documents that market surveillance authorities refer to when carrying out market surveillance. So before we move on, it's important to outline that market surveillance shall mean the activities carried out and measures taken by the body specified in the Regulation 10 of these regulations, that's SI 225 of 2013, to ensure that construction products comply with the requirements set out in the relevant harmonised technical specifications and do not endanger health, safety, or any other aspect of public interest. Now, this slide here just outlines the 35 product areas as set out in Annex 4 of Regulation 305 of 2011. And the construction products range from precast concrete products, area code 1, to fire stopping, area code 35. Your attention actually is drawn to the fact that regulation number EU 2019 of 1020 of the European Parliament and of the Council of the 20th of June 2019 has applied in the EU since the 16th of July 2021. And among other things, it provides for that member states shall draw up an overarching national market surveillance strategy at least every 4 years. And the first one must be drawn up by the 16th of July 2022. So that's a couple of months away. It provides for a single liaison office in each member state. And it also refers to distant sales, what they call distant sales, and that's products offered for sale online. If you follow that link on this slide, you will be taken to Ireland's National Market Surveillance Programme to 2021, which is managed by the National Building Control Office and Market Surveillance Office. And with all requests going to support at nbco.gov.ie, and the responsible person being myself, Mairéad Phelan. So it's very important to have a read of that. So I suppose the question now you're asking is what do market surveillance authorities do? So we defined market surveillance in slide 9, and market surveillance authorities carry out active, reactive, and random surveillance activities. Planned market surveillance activities are decided in accordance with good practice document for market surveillance. Reactive are in response to complaints and general queries, and the random then surveillance are at the discretion of the each market surveillance authority. So in 2021, as set out in the National Market Surveillance Programme, the planned market surveillance activity included construction products generated from quarries and pits, specifically products from area code 24, that's aggregates. And a particular focus was on the aggregates for unbound and hydraulically bound materials, that's EN 13242, aggregates for concrete, EN 12620, aggregates for bituminous mixtures, EN 13043, and aggregates for mortar, EN 13139. And there they are on that slide. So in accordance with the good practice for market surveillance, the compliance assessment consisted of 8 activities. That's checking the register information in the ICSMS, which I'll talk about a little later, determine the relevant economic operators for existing quarries from existing registers and local knowledge and planning authorities, etc., issuing an information note with a request for CPR compliance documents, assessment of those compliance documents with formal requirements, and then taking samples and assessment of the compliance with the technical requirements as set out in the EN standards. And then there was recommendations on a risk assessment of any non-compliances found, just carrying out a risk assessment on any non-compliances to see if they infringed on safety, and then informing the economic operators of these issues, or if no issues found, and adding the information to the ICSMS. And that's the flowchart that we use. So in this slide, I have the information note and the request for construction products regulations compliance documents as issued to the economic operators. And each economic operator for quarries and pits got this. And the phase 1 was really raising awareness, and phase 2 was planning visits to the premises and input into the ICSMS. Phase 3 was the conclusions, and that was carried out in December. So really, this slide is a description of the compliances requested, and this is quite important. So for every construction product placed on the market, we looked for a copy or photograph of the CE marking, a valid declaration of performance, the technical documentation to support that the products complies with the requirements of the EN 12620 or 13043 or 13243. The test reports and details in respect of type testing of the products, and the details of the notified factory production control certification body, that's the AVCP, the attestation, verification, constancy of performance. And for aggregates is system 2+, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. So the instructions and the safety information are very important, and they must be got as well. And the traceability that's in place for the construction product. And that traceability in those documents must be kept for 10 years. In this slide is what we would expect to see on a CE marking. We see the CE symbol, that's the CE, the last 2 digits of the year in which the CE was first affixed, the name and registered address of the manufacturer, the reference number of the DOP, the reference of the harmonized specification, the identification number of the notified body, and the intended use, which is very important to have. You need to know what the intended use of every construction product is, the level and class of performance declared, and the website holding the DOP. This slide outlines what we would expect to see on a declaration of performance, and that's also set out in the 305 of 2011 as amended by any delegated regulation. And we'd expect to see the unique identification code of the product type, the intended use, intended and very important, the manufacturer, the authorized representative, that's the person who's responsible for seeing that these documents and compliances are available, the system of attestation, verification and consistency of performance, the harmonized standard, if it's a notified body, if it's a harmonized standard, or if it's a European technical assessment document, we'd need to see the European technical assessment, the technical assessment body, and the notified bodies. So the declared performance is also quite important, and then the appropriate technical documentation and specification, specific technical documentation related to that construction product. And then this must be signed on behalf of the manufacturer at the place and on the date of issue, and the signature must be there. The attestation then and verification and constancy of performance then is a harmonized system defining how to assess products and control the constancy of the assessment results. So this system safeguards the reliability and accuracy of the declaration of performance. And there are 5 different systems are in place for construction products in the construction products regulations. And they range from large-scale third-party involvement to self-declaration and monitoring by the manufacturer. So of note is that blocks and aggregates are system 2+. And you need to check this in Annex ZA of the relevant standard. That's where that's set out. So what did we do then in our first year in office? We did quite a lot, actually. We liaised with local authority market surveillance offices on the construction products generated from quarries and pits, specifically products from area code 24, that's the aggregates, and aggregates for concrete, bituminous mixes, unbound and hydraulically bound materials. We inspected 20% of the 500 quarries in the state. We identified an average of 1 to 3 of these economic operators in 14 counties for further monitoring in 2022. The relevant market surveillance authorities then now will be assigned these economic operators to inspect and sample in accordance with an inspection package that will be assigned by ourselves in the National Building Control and Market Surveillance Office. So just a note now on the ICSMS. The ICSMS is the Information and Communication System for Market Surveillance. And it's the European Commission's communication platform for market surveillance of non-food products. It provides for mutual recognition for goods, and it's an intelligence mechanism for the reliable exchange of information among market surveillance authorities. All market surveillance of construction products inspections are uploaded to this site, and information can be viewed by market surveillance authorities and each member state. So that's quite an important platform for inspections to see what's going on. Now, in this slide, you will see it's an extract from the ICSMS, that the system itself, and we can see the orange countries, and they are the ones that have been actually busy in carrying out market surveillance. And Ireland, for the first year in 2021, has been quite busy, and we've turned from white to orange. And this, as I said, we took that from the ICSMS system of all the inspections we uploaded and the quarries that we visited. So, as I've said, I have given you a very brief overview of what we have done in market surveillance in the National Building Control and Market Surveillance Office. And thank you. And I hope that you have learned something from this presentation. And if you need any information, don't hesitate to contact our office at support@nbco.gov.ie. Thank you very much.